find something out, because let me tell you, man, the fans know that material better than I do. I mean, when I'm writing a book, I'll write a first draft, and I'll go back and I'll clean it up a bit, and then some of the beta readers get to see it, and I'll take their opinions and incorporate that into the book if I think it's appropriate, and then it goes off to the editor, and the editor has comments, and then there's like a line editor, and I'll be changing things for them, and then there's a final version that's the approved version that I'll make corrections to if need be. So by the time the books come out, I've seen, between 7 and 9 slightly different variations of the same stuff. Plus all the things that I thought about writing in my head and didn't write, when I was thinking of optional ways to get it done as we went along the line. So I've kind of got this cloud of possible Dresden books in my head, in my memory, but the fans have only seen the final version. They'll put a wiki together. It's like, oh, thank goodness, somebody did this. It's so much neater than the inside of my skull.
Had a question on mine and it went away.
Well, it's 10 in the morning.
Yeah, that is true. The coffee is wearing off slowly. I guess the other question I have is, is there a chance we're going to see any thoughts you might have for another book series that might be in the future that you might be able to share?
Another book series. Eventually, I'm going to write my science fiction series, the U.S. Marshal ones. That's the one I was about halfway through the first one when Alera sold, and so I had to kind of drop it and to go work on the second book in the Alera series. And I remember leaving my protagonist having ejected from his ship in orbit over the moon, in a decaying orbit over the moon with a solar flare coming on. And he's been there for like 3 years, 5 years. Long time. I'll get to that eventually at some point. I think the next project I'm going to do, I'm going to write with my friend Cam Banks, who, if you're part of the gaming industry, you probably know who Cam is. But he's authored several short stories and a novel called The Cell Sword, which was one of the Dragonlance novels, which I thought shows a lot of potential for what he can do as a writer. And he's a good friend and such an easygoing guy. I think he's one of the only people I can write a book with without Mercury. But I think that's going to be the next project. We're going to do an apocalyptic fantasy kind of thing. So, well, it's not really going to be epic. Well, I mean, apocalyptic and world-shattering and so on. Because why not? But it's not going to be my epic fantasy epic, which I'm planning on writing at some point when I'm up to it. I'm still kind of building my skills to be able to write my epic fantasy epic. But that's just what I call it, So my poor wife, she has to put up with that kind of thing. Like, hey, Shannon, my epic fantasy epic, Jim, we're sleeping. That kind of thing. So we want to do some questions?
Yeah. Let's start with a plug.
We're microphone. So if you've got a question, we'll form a line over by the microphone, and I'll get through as many as I can.
There's a bad rush.
Okay, do we need to break out do we need a belt and a couple of knives and we'll settle? Who's going to be first, or are we ready to go? Okay, please.
Yes, Jim, I have a question for you. In the last book, Changes, I noticed that Harry Dresden found out that Ebenezer was his grandfather. The question I had was, Ebenezer has an antipathy towards the white court, and Thomas doesn't like the white council. is Harry going to let them know about them being related, or are they going to find out themselves?
That's one of those questions that I'm not going to answer because it's more fun for you to find out. Oh, yeah, that's we haven't begun to mess with that yet. Yeah, we'll have a good time with it though.
When you're writing, how early do you plant seeds for future books? For instance, in Summer Night, Harry earns the leaf from the summer court, and that becomes pivotal in Small Changes. Small Favor. Mm-hmm. How far ahead do you know what he's going to do with, for instance, that leaf?
I put stuff in Stormfront that won't come out until the big trilogy at the end. I kind of planned a bunch of stuff out like way ahead of time because my teacher said I had to.
Well, I really appreciate that piece of your work, that part of your style. About how many loose threads do you think you still have hanging that we don't know about?
About how many what?
Loose threads waiting to be tied in later?
I can't think of them as loose threads. From where I am, I kind of see them as I know where it's going to go somewhere. I think we've got a good solid. Pretty much we've got all the pieces out on the board right now, except for a couple that are going to be emerging because of the events of changes, which is going to be lots of fun. Or at least I'm having a great time. I hear different things from the reader end of things. There was actually a cartoon on the net. I don't know. There was one of the kind of a net tune that one frame is showing this guy going, "Leave me alone! I'm getting to the very end of Changes." And the next frame is a couple of girls, and one of them's looking sort of odd, and her friend's like, "What?" And she's like, "I just got this weird sensation, and it's thousands of nerds suddenly crying out." I thought that was pretty hilarious. I'm sorry if there's anybody bothered by the nerd thing. I kind of own my nerddom, so. Please, next.
First, when it comes to nerddom, I'm guilty as charged. Second, are you still active in mushes and those communities?
No, I don't really. I haven't mushed for quite a while. I think the last time I was really seriously mushing was late 90s at some point. But it is kind of, that is where I got a lot of things started, and it's where I met Fred of Evil Hat and several other people who I still run into from time to time. It's always kind of funny meeting people and figuring out how many people already know some friend of mine that's over the net or whatever, and they're like, "It really is a small world." And I'm like, "No, it's not a small world. There's just a limited number of people who have a clue."